Harshala madam, you can start.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good morning, everyone. On behalf of Government College of Engineering, Nagpur, I am Harshala Bilge, the member of Maple, organized by Government College of Engineering, Nagpur. Last 3 days of this program was very informative and beneficial. We have received good response from many participants. Yesterday's session was conducted by Bhakti Velankar from Ratnam College, wherein we learn about different type of graphs, including simple graph, planar graph, coloring of notes, and most interesting was the example Sharash Chandra Shankar Shikhande's graph, which all of you must have enjoyed. Now, today's speaker is Mr. Ujjwal Kandhari sir, who is Technical Analyst in Binary Simulation Limited. He was completed MSc in Applied Mathematics from South Asian University, New Delhi. He having specialization in Maple and Maple Sim. On first day of FDP, Mr. Kandhari sir has given us software and its application in mathematics, along with various tools like drawing a graph of complicated functions and many more. Today's topic is multivariate calculus and linear algebra using Maple, considering the importance of linear algebra, vector calculus, and differential equation, etc. Hence, I would like to invite Mr. Kandhari sir to start with today's session. Sir, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Thank you for everybody for being here, for joining in. Today, I'll be covering applications of Maple for multivariate calculus and linear algebra. Considering these are topics that are widely used in even for mathematical concepts and even for a lot of engineering courses, the applications for them become extremely important. So we had during the first session, the first day of the week on Monday, we had talked about how Maple is a symbolic computational tool. You have the ability to maneuver through different expressions and the level of added interactivity that it offers. You're able to plot basically do basic level of analysis using the pellet here, which makes your life a lot easier. So now today I will be covering specific applications for specific use of using the multivariate calculus package and using the linear algebra package. So we talked about Maple having packages which are basically list of functions that you can basically load up from the system, and you'll be able to access functions inside them. So I'll just start off. So you have a couple of commands here. I'll just load the student multivariate calculus package. The first thing that we'll be discussing is the Taylor approximations. Okay, so like multivariate approximations for Taylor series become extremely important. Definitely, like single series, it's relatively easy to do so. When you're moving around multivariate, when you're working with multivariate functions, it becomes useful to be able to not just get a series solution for it, but to be able to plot the solution and have a handle on what sort of parameters you're actually using. This is something that I discussed earlier as well. There's plenty of packages inside Maple that are geared towards students, because Maple can be used as an instructive tool as well, considering the amount of interactivity that it offers. So there's one sort of tutor that you can actually access from Maple Tools. Let's go to tutors. There's a list of interactive applications that are available. I'm assuming you may have covered ODE Analyzer when you're talking about differential equations. You can have access to numerical analysis and so on, even for optimization. So now let's open up Google Calculus Multivariate. This is what we'll be covering today, and we can simply go to Taylor approximation. So you see this sort of applet opens up. So all a user has to do here is sort of enter the function. I have sin x plus y here, enter the points, the initial point where he wants the expansion for, and enter the degree. So this becomes his polynomial, and this is where he has his graph. Now what he can do is he can simply click on animate, and what the animation lets him do is basically gets him the animation for all of the functions, basically moving from degree 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and so on. Again, it becomes extremely useful. So like when you are through with this, you have the ability to basically get whatever you want. When you go back, you also have the ability to basically see the command being used to do all this. So then you can do it back if you wanted. You can do it back on your screen as well. You can change whatever function that you want to get. Let's click on display. So you have the function here. Let's go with degree 1. We'll see in maneuver through the 3D graph, you'll be able to check that this is not the right approximation. Let's move on to second degree approximation. Third degree. Slightly better. See the polynomial changing. You can switch to move around the expansion at a different point as well. And again, instead of having to worry about syntaxes and so on, you're able to do this a lot more easily here. And like if you're doing it, if a student is able to actually do this, then it becomes useful for them, because for a student being able to learn both the mathematics behind the problem that he's actually considering and also learning it from a tool becomes a little bit more tedious, because he's learning two things at a time. So yeah, this is one example of having a tutor, like I showed you, where you can basically have an application and do it for you. Similar sort of things can be done from the command itself. So Taylor approximation is the command. Again, commands in Maple are pretty intuitive. So whatever you want to perform, the command is you can actually guess from the sort of analysis that you want to perform itself. Taylor approximation, you enter whatever function that you want to. Just enter parameters. Just enter the parameters and the point basically that you had expansion in terms of. This is just your degree, and this is the expansion that you get. So we talked about this earlier as well. Maple being a symbolic computation tool, it will not make any sort of approximation. So POS1 will be written as POS1 itself, unless you ask them to do some sort of approximation. So if you want to, you can get approximations for this, but you can get these sort of expansions relatively easily. Now, suppose for this particular thing, I wanted to get an output as a plot and not just as a expression. I could have gone with that as well. So similar command, Taylor's approximation, similar function, same output. Just the added thing that you're adding is output is equal to plot, and you have the plot here. Specifically because you're using the student package, which are used for a lot of interactivity that it adds. Also the plots that you will create from the student package will give you annotated plots. So it's not just you created a plot; it also even tells you that 1,0 Taylor degree polynomial, that's in blue, and the identical function is in burgundy, and you get annotated plots. And this will be identical to when we'll move on to other examples for multivariate calculus and linear algebra. These plots will be annotated, so it will give you an idea of what's actually happening inside the plot as well. I could also get an animation for it if I want. So this time, all I need to do is just switch the output to animation, and this is what you have. Similar sort of annotated plot. You can see the animation bar available here. Like you would go to a plot, you'll have this plot bar. I'll go to animation, have the animation bar here. I am on the first frame. Now what I can do here, let me just turn this around so it's easier to visualize. Either you can simply click on play. Like obviously it's a lot fast to understand. So you can also move on to reduce the rate here. Like this is just frames per second, so I've reduced this to 1. So this is also pretty fast. So what I can actually do is I can just move from one frame to the other manually as well. So it basically breaks down your this particular problem. I can simply move from, okay, so this is the point 1,0, it's been highlighted in green. This is the Taylor approximation when you're dealing with like one variable. 1 degree function. I'll simply move on to the next parameter. You see a 2 variable, a degree 2 polynomial being created. Again, move on to the next part, degree 3 polynomial. Definitely a lot more closer, but you can see differences here as well. Move on to degree 4 polynomial, definitely a lot more, definitely closer. Degree 5, move on to degree 6 and degree 7 and degree 8. So you are also able to ascertain not just through animations, but you're able to ascertain what sort of degree gives you the best approximation that you're looking for. So all of this can be formed also using the tutor and also using simple commands. That's it. Yeah. So I'll move on to cross sections here. So again, the multivariate calculus package has a cross section function as well that basically lets you identify cross sections across a curve. Similar sort of examples where you can open up a tutor as well for cross sections. I'll do that. Calculus, you can see cross section there as well. Again, you can enter an expression, enter indents for x and y, enter the plane equation that you have, number of planes you can change, click on display, and this switches around as you want it. So again, these sort of annotated plots can be obtained. Similarly, if you want to have an animation for this, you can also get the animation for this as well, where it's actually moving from -4 to 4. You can also have that. And the same, I've switched it around to 10. You will see different values here. Should be great. Let's just test it out. The plane equation, let's keep it something different. So I've kept this as a standard equation Z. You can also switch it back. So this is x plus 3, you're getting different values. Let's go for 2z plus 3 and decrease the plane to 5. And you get the plane values being different. You get so cross section curves extremely easily. You can see similar sort of thing as available here as well. This is the plot that we're getting, and identical to something that we had here, where you could use the tutor. You can also use the function here itself. So that is, you use the cross section of the function being used to do so. You enter the function that the underlying function that you have, enter the space curve, enter values of x, y, and z as indents. These are sample problem where you actually show the function or not. I'll keep this as true, and you'll see the change in function where now the sphere is being displayed and earlier it was not. So that's completely up to you if you want to display it or not. As a user, you have the chance to basically move. You can see that's gone now, and you can just see the level curves. And again, these sort of annotated plots that you will get. So if you're sharing documents, they'll be able to understand what it is that you're actually creating. Here again, you have an animation for similar sort of problems. You can run the animation one by one, like I told you earlier, and you get 10 plates. So again, because it's a pretty powerful tool, you can do it for any sort of function that you have. You can work with any sort of visualizations, definitely for 3D visualization, because this is all you can actually visualize on a computer generated tool, but you can definitely have. So directional derivatives and gradients, again, this is also something that's very applicable, not just in mathematics, but also in a lot of engineering courses, because the application comes from being able to work with vectors and becomes extremely important to be able to visualize all this instead of just having to do the algebraic manipulation that a student would normally do. So again, you have a tutor for that as well. Tutors, multivariate tutors, directional derivatives. Similarly, you enter whatever function that you want to. I've entered 2 tan inverse x into y plus 2. You enter the point for the directional derivative. You enter the direction here as well. And I can simply click on, you get the actual values here. Simply click on animate. And you can see how that is actually changing. Both the curve. Both the arrows. Let's go back. Again, like we had it for all of the other functions here, you can also have functions. So directional derivative tutor is the function to open up a tutor. You can open up the tutor from here, from the command itself, or you can simply go to the tutor from the panel here itself, from the tools menu. You can do it any way that you like. It's completely up to you. And there's also tutors for gradients, basically. So you can get an idea on gradients. Again, specify a function, specify the point where you want the gradient, and you get nice visualizations. If you want to get the gradient field plot as well, you get that as well. It's extremely easy to do. You can display the function. It gives you what the value of f is, what the gradient of f is. Let's change the function around. Yeah. So you have different gradients. You can see the values here have changed. So how you want to actually work it is completely up to you. And you can have any sort of values for x and y. Again, gradient field plot as well can be seen. Similar sort of examples have been covered here as well. So you can see similar examples here with gradient tutors for different functions and so on. Now, being able to handle directional derivative is also important. Just extension of being able to handle gradients, and so you can also, like we did earlier, just enter the function instead of going to tutors. Directional derivative, again, a pretty intuitive command. Enter the function, enter the points, and you get the value of the directional derivative exactly. Or like we did earlier, you can enter function as it is, and you can set what sort of output that you want, whether you want an animation, whether you want a plot. Like with animations, you can set up frames. By default, there are 10 frames. If you want to do, you can set up more frames as well. And again, you get annotated project, tells you the direction derivative of so and so function at this point is computed with initial direction is I minus j. That's the point that we've given. Now let's play this around so we get an idea of what's happening. So he gets the direction derivative. Second, again, even if you had to handle gradients like we were doing earlier using the tutor, you can directly get gradients from here itself. Just enter the function that you want the gradient for and enter the point that you want the gradient at and start. Similarly, same sort of expression, you can identify points, you can identify if you want to plot for it, you get simple annotated plots. And again, you can switch to, instead of just having plots, you can get gradient fields as well for different functions. So let's change this now. And you'll see as you keep making changes to the function, the plots will automatically change. Now we'll work with explain a little bit of integrals. So what you're able to do inside Maple is not just get calculation. We talked about being a symbolic tool. You can also set up integrals as well. So you can see a simple example here. I've entered an expression here, x squared y, and instead of just displaying the output, which again Multi-int is the way to set up an integral for more than one variable. You enter the function, you enter the indents for y, and you enter the indents for x. Normally, this is what you'll do anywhere. Or you can also do that using the panel here, like we have talked about before as well. You can go to the calculus, spell it, and you can set up multiple integrals from here as well. But like if you want to do it using the command, you can definitely have access to that as well. So, but if you wanted to see basically get an output as the integral itself and not the solution for the integral, there's also a parameter for that. Just switch output to integral. Like we were switching between plots and animations and values in the earlier section. You can simply switch the output to integral, and this is what you'll be getting. The integral that has been formulated, you get that. Definitely, if you want to solve it or approximate it, there are commands for that as well. This will basically solve it using numerical methods, but obviously you don't need it for that because it's a simpler problem. You can directly get the value from here itself. So you can basically set up integrals and create integrals. Again, no restriction on what sort of variables because there's no visualization now. So you can set up whatever number of variables that you want. Just keep giving values. Again, if you want it to be of the form dz dy dx, and basically enter parameters in the same way, and it's automatically going to handle an integral for you. Yeah, so a lot of people who are working with symbolic problems, optimization problems, where they have a lot of parameters around, being able to handle like Hessian matrices, getting second derivative tests become extremely important. Like instead of having like maxima or minima, which is normally handles for just like you can use the optimization package as well, get maxima or minima per function. But like because it's calculus, is something that a student does study, you're able to handle this sort of maximum, minima, and saddle points using the function, using the second derivative test itself, which is something that we do cover when a student also covers. So, simple example here: second derivative test is the function being used to do so. You enter the function, you enter the point, and you give me the output. So, identify whether the output is a Hessian matrix. So now, if you set up the output as this, you get a Hessian matrix. If you set up the second derivative test, just give the function. It will identify what sort of point is a, like this point is not a local minima, not a local maxima, but it's a saddle point. Obviously, for this expression, like it's a common test function that we have, we knew that this will be a saddle point. And again, you can do it for higher order as well. So a similar sort of function where you identifies 3 values, you get the Hessian for all those 3 values. You tell the system to identify whether any of these points are local minima or local maxima or saddle points. It automatically puts them into those brackets. So you see similar sort of thing being done for a different problem, for a third order problem, where it will identify that the origin is the local minimum. I will be covering a little of linear algebra as well. But like whatever matrix that you have, like if you have an expression, you can get Hessian matrix from here itself. You have functions to get Hessian matrix as well. But because you are inside an environment of the second derivative test, you can directly get the output from here itself. Instead of having to do a multiple layered, basically use 2 functions, you can do it inside the same function itself. Now we'll move on to integral approximations. Again, something that is covered widely during mathematics course is just getting numerical approximations for your integrals. Again, so we sort of follow the similar process. You can set up integrals using, basically handle these sort of integrals using tutors, approximate integration. So this is where you actually choose a particular function, enter a function, enter x and y indents, enter the number of partitions you want for x and the number of partitions that you want for y. Choose any method that you want to. You can use midpoint, you can use upper, random method, you can use a lower point method. Again, you can choose Cartesian system as well. I'll show you a couple of examples of the similar sort of thing being done in polar coordinates as well. But obviously this is a Cartesian equation, so I won't change that. And you should be able to see that there are plot options. You can change transparencies and so on. So maybe that is a lot more visible to you. But let's reduce the number of partitions first. So you're able to see what's actually happening. Obviously, this is not a good fit because I just kept 2 partitions. Let's go for 3 partitions. So basically, we need to approximate the area under the curve, and this is definitely not a good fit. And we're using lower point. This time, let's use midpoint. And you see that's completely changed. Let's go for 2, 2 for midpoint method. So yeah, if this sort of example is a pretty good visual aid to actually identify to a student what the difference between the lower method and the midpoint method would actually be. You can see the approximate value that we are getting is 30 for 40 here. It's pretty bad. Switch on to midpoint, it basically increases because it's symmetrical, so you get similar sort of problems. Also, you can get setup animations. That becomes easier to do. So it's switch on 5 partitions, and this animation will basically keep on increasing your partitions, and you'll be able to visualize whether it's getting to a better point. I'll come back to the screen, and you will be able to handle or see these sort of problems on with a couple of different examples. And as I said, we'll be covering a couple of examples in polar coordinates as well. Just a second. So again, either like we had earlier, either you can open up the computer from the tools bar, or you can approx int is the function being used to do. So again, enter the function, enter the x and y indents, choose what sort of output that you want to. I've chosen it to be animation. You can set up partitions. Frames is definitely up to you. It's not necessary. You can even remove. So you can run the animation and it will be able to visualize how. Let's go back. Let's move to from 1 frame at a time. So you can see when the partitions are less, what happens, and when we start moving to different iterations, what do we get? And we've gone to 5, and it's a pretty good approximation. We've made to 6 partitions. We will be able to see all that. Again, because it's an annotated plot, it's telling you it's a midpoint Riemann sum. It gives you the integral, gives you the actual value, approximate value, gives you the grade. Everything has been can be computed using will be available to you inside the plot itself. Or if you could have just gone for output is equal to value, like it's been done here, you can simply get the output here just as a value. If you don't need to worry about functions or anything else, you can simply get values as well. And again, the thing that I'm like specifically focusing on here is you can also get all of these sort of values using the command here itself. Let's go for this integral is dy dx, y is minus 62. Okay, it's minus 66. So I'll try to set up a similar integral minus 4. And let's say it's x. So similar to values can be obtained from here itself. Like if this, all of this actually is not necessary, but like when you're actually trying to explain these this sort of concepts to students, being able to have these sort of tools which lets you visualize this concept becomes extremely important. Because unless I'm able to visualize how this is happening, I will never take interest in what's actually going on. So I want to a Jacobian matrix. Again, a Jacobian matrix should be relatively easy to understand. You can directly get a Jacobian matrix for any sort of function that you actually, any sort of vector that you have. So here's the sort of vector you can define in x, y, z, 3 variables. You set up a point, and at that point you get the Jacobian. Simple. You can also, again, like in the Jacobian function, you have options to basically choose what sort of output that you want to. If you by default the output is the Jacobian matrix. If you wanted to get a determinant, you could get it. Basically enter output is equal to determinant. or you can simply get determinant from basically having using matrices. I'll be covering getting how to get determinants and so on when I move on to the linear algebra patterns. Let's go with change of variables. Yeah, so a lot of teachers and instructors is something that's covered in calculus too, I guess. Basically, being able to maneuver through switching from Cartesian to cylindrical coordinates or polar coordinates. This is something that you do have to do to basically reduce the algebraic manipulation that you need to solve some sort of problems. So you can also, like I talked about, being able to set up integrals. That's what's actually been done here. You set up an integral here. You will also be able to basically use change of variables. What we'll basically do is just change the variable of a from Cartesian to polar. Like you don't really need to basically and just enter the Cartesian it is in, sorry, the coordinates it is in, and just enter the coordinates you want it to be in, and you get the value, get the updated value here. Obviously, you'll see it's r cos theta, r square cos square theta, and r sin theta, that becomes r square cos square theta sin theta, and the other r d theta when we switch from Cartesian to coordinates. So you see that value is matching. If you want to revert back, you can simply click on the revert button. So it is automatically storing that this is a particular the p, that the integral that you created here did come from a Cartesian conversion. So you just enter the revert button and you get the original value itself. You don't need to convert it back to Cartesian. And again, I use it for double integrals. You can do it for triple as well. Cylindrical is a very common way where people do use it. And again, that's another way that you can actually set up. Lagrange multipliers, we'll talk a little about that. Again, we have a function that lets you get Lagrange multipliers for, like, basically Lagrange multipliers is a method used to identify local maxima, minima, and saddle points. So you can enter the function that you have here, enter the constraints that you have, and enter the points that you want. Basically, the output that we'll be getting in terms of x and y. So what this function, these are the 4 points that you have here that you get as maxima, minima, saddle points. And if you set the output as plots, you can simply see and visualize these are 4 points that have been visible to you here as well. So again, becomes easy to visualize Lagrange multipliers as well. So that is the whole purpose of these sort of student packages. Instead of just giving you examples and just basically telling students, okay, this is how it's been done. If you are able to basically work through all that, or even if it's a problem that even you are working with, it's a little bit of complex problem that you want to use the Lagrange multiplier to actually solve that problem. Being able to actually handle visualizations and some sort of animated plots will definitely be a lot useful for you as well. So we'll move on to applications of Lagrange or applications of multivariate calculus, basically getting stuff like surface area of an integral or average of a function or center of mass. Is something that found their direct applications like physics. Function average, you can set it up. So let's say I go for function average. Is the function to calculate the average of any function that you have. Set up the function. Again, set up indents for x and y, and you can select what output that you want. So here I've not set up the output. I simply get the average of the function. And because it's all symbolic, so you're getting symbolic expression. When you want to manipulate it, you can definitely manipulate it here. If there are any more simplifications that you need to make, that can be done from the pilot here itself. But it gives you the most simplified form of the expression. Or if you want to just see how the integral would look like when you're talking about a function average, you can also set that. And again, this is a example in Cartesian coordinate. There's no restriction to what sort of coordinates you can use it for. I've written a similar sort of expression, but this is in polar coordinates, and that is the only thing that I'm actually using. That's the only difference in the command. Just set up polar coordinates, and now it gives me the value for it as well. And set it up for three functions as well, or rather 3 variable functions, 2 variable functions, whatever it is that you actually want. And you can basically set up integrals and also get values for this. You can get it for surface areas as well. Basically, you get the surface area of this particular function, and you can see get annotated plots as well, visualizing the surface area. So it gives you what the domain is, what the surface that you have, and what the area would be, which is being highlighted in red. If you want to get integrals of how to basically get surface area, you also have that here. Or you can simply get the expressions as well. You can see these expressions are, you have radicals and log functions there. Extremely symbolic. If you want to approximate this, you can directly approximate this at any time. So I guess I'm a little running short on time. I'll quickly cover lines and planes. I've been move on to linear. So like if your advantage of Maple, as we talked about, is being able to maneuver through a lot of analysis using the panel here itself. One example here I'll be covering, assuming these are the lines that we have, and show that the lines, they do not intersect, they're not parallel, that meaning they're skewed. If this is something that you want to do, then it's relatively simple to do so. I can just copy this, or you can simply drag this into your screen as well. Okay. So you'll be able to basically make changes to, I'll cover the intersection of planes rather, that should be a little bit more useful. Process is the same, like basically enter this sort of expression of, this is the expression for a plane. You just enter the equation here. On the right hand side, you have like student multivariate calculus you have available here. You can click on lines and planes, and you can basically define a plane. Just click on it. So it automatically picks up variables for first, second, and third dimension. You can switch it up if you want to. And this is a plane. You can assign it to a name. Assign it to a name. Just go with. We'll go with P1. Similar sort of thing can be done to this. And you'll see I'll solve the whole problem without basically just touching, without writing a single command. I basically want to find the formula of a line which intersects the planes. So now I've written, here I've written two. I'll just switch it around. I've written P1, P2. Just remove this. Again, go to multivariate calculus. And you will be able to get, like, go to intersection. And you get the intersection line. Again, assign that to a name. Let's go with L1. And this is the intersecting line. Then this basically will be able to verify whether you put the plane with a line, then you're basically able to verify whether that is intersecting or not. You can simply go to intersection and gives you sorry. Now if you want to get, obviously, like, you don't just want to work with these sort of symbols, you want to be able to understand what sort of like lines are. You want to get the representation of lines, whether it be parametric representation or just representation of lines in terms of equations. You should be able to handle that as well. So like you have a line here, you can again go to multivariate calculus, get the representation of the line, change the parameter. You can get different equations or different sort of equations, vector equations as well, parametric equations, standard equations, and you have the representation.
Sorry to disturb you. I guess your screen is stuck.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So basically, you're able to do all of this sort of analysis in terms of handling planes and lines using the panel here itself. Because whenever you load up a package, this sort of options become available to here itself. So you can specify whether it's a line or a plane, assign that to a name. If you want to go for intersection, you can go to again get the intersection. So it automatically identifies these two are planes, automatically sees that you want to find the intersection of two planes, which will be a line, So it automatically computes all that without you having to maneuver through functions and so on. Now you want to get a representation of a line, similar sort of things is available. Identify it's a line, so you can get directions and plots and points for it. Simply get on representation, you get the representation of the line. And again, as I talked about, when you go to representation, I'll show that again. You have the option to get like equations and parametric equations, vectors, and symmetric. This is what's been done here as well. Now, if you basically wanted to, you can also do all of this thing that's been done. You can also do it using commands. Like line is a command, representation is a command, being able to identify plane is a command, intersect is a command. So all of this can be done using commands, but like it becomes a little easy if you don't really have to do it. So Maple is able to handle that aspect as well. So we'll move to linear algebra. Cover up a couple of examples. Again, I will just load the linear algebra package. Start off with vectors. So as I think I mentioned in the first session as well, there's no restriction to what sort of data structure you're using inside Maple. So you can work with sets, vectors, arrays, matrices, lists, even numbers. So there's no restriction. And it's very easy to basically identify what sort of data structure you're working with as well. So like I've identified these sort of three, basically define these sort of three vectors. Like if you want to define another vector, I'll just show you how to do it. Let's go with screen. Just enter the less than equal to sign. Just enter the variable, just enter whatever vector that you want to, close it. And Maple will automatically identify that you're working with vectors. It will automatically let you know that this is a vector. Now there's simple functions available for basically maneuvering through various vectors. If you want to get the basis for the for a function for a set of vectors, you can get that. Wanted to work through cross products. So there are a couple of ways to do basically get cross and dot products. One is just the function cross product, or you can use the shortcut, which is enter the function, whatever variable that you've defined, and x is the keyboard shortcut, you can call it, and just enter the other function. And you can see both the outputs that I'm getting are similar. And again, because I have the linear algebra package here, you can also get cross product plot for it. So I'll be able to see, okay, this is the red vector, this is the blue vector, tells me the leaf green is the vector that is the cross product. You can also get dot products. Either you can use the dot product function, or you can simply use the full stop on your keyboard. Both would work. Now let's say I've defined a matrix. Again, you can define matrices from here as well. It will be able to change dimensions and insert matrices, custom values, and so on. That's another way to do it. And you can simply get like null space for it. Or like if you define two vectors, you'll be able to get the projection matrix for this space. So there's plenty of functions available. You will be able to handle a lot using the panels that are available. I'll just get the projection matrix for a simple vector A, simple space A, comma 1. So you get this, that's available to you. Again, you can get it for basically just explaining you that you can get for symbolic values as well, not just numeric values. And as we talked about it earlier, you can basically set up conditions inside Maple, whether assuming whether some sort of parameters are negative or positive. Or here in this particular example, I've set up where there's no conjugate. So A conjugate will be treated as A and automatically simplifies this problem. So you can basically work around relatively easily with vectors. That's all you need to be able to define. Now we'll work with matrices. Just as an example, let's just define a matrix here. So I'll go with P. Let's go with a 3x3 matrix. You can have custom values or you can have random values. I'll enter random values. Custom values will basically be where you enter values. You can have a 0 field, 1 field matrix, identity matrix for whatever dimension that you choose from. You can also use it from the grid here, or you can basically enter the number of rows and columns that you want. Specifically, if you're working with a particular kind of a matrix, you can also basically a certain that property associated with the matrix as well. So for suppose I want an anti-symmetric matrix or a Hermitian, I'll probably go with anti-symmetric. Then you have that, and you can also select what sort of data types you want. Like if you want complex numbers inside your matrix, so just click on insert, and it creates a matrix for you, an anti-symmetric matrix with custom. Oh, I should have probably done random values. That will be easier. So you have these sort of random values that a matrix, an anti-symmetric matrix with complex values has been created for you. Now, again, based on here, the panel will get activated. You have standard operations that you can actually create. Let's get a determinant. You get a determinant here. So again, this looks a lot more, this looks extremely complex. Like you have a very big command being used to do so. So even if you're not using the panel here, you don't really need to enter this sort of a command. I'll just show that to you. I've basically defined this matrix as B. I've already loaded the linear algebra package. So basically being able to add this and being able to add this, that's all redundant. So I can simply go for something like determinant B. Sorry, this should go. Yeah, I did not load the package again. Yeah. So you're getting similar values here as well. So even if you want to work through commands, that you can also do that. Once you've loaded packages and you basically using variable assignment, then even commands are not very long to use. Other sort of expansion you can see when I go to standard operations, because it's a complex matrix of complex entries, you can get the Hermitian transpose for it. Like if it was a, let's say if it was a real matrix, I will not get options like Hermitian transpose. I'll get transpose, pseudo inverse, and so on. For a complex matrix, automatically these options are different. The options are different. So let's move on to getting slightly more complex examples. Let's move on to like, I hope standard operation should be clear. You can get determinant and inverse and so on. It should be easy to understand. You are able to actually handle all that just using the panel here, or you can use the command transpose, trace, pseudo inverse as well. Now let's move on to, yeah, we have a panel matrix here. Suppose I want to get like eigenvalues and eigenvectors of the matrix. Let's do all that. This is a 4x4 matrix. You can see I've had random entries. So obviously, when I click on basically try to get eigenvalues or eigenvectors, there may be anything that you can actually see. Like they could be as complex as anything, because it could be a pretty long solution. Let's go to eigenvalues. You can get the characteristic polynomial, and you have the characteristic polynomial here. You can either solve the characteristic polynomial from here itself using the solve panel. You can choose it for what variable you want to solve it and so on. Or what you can do, like you can simply click on eigenvalues, simply get the eigenvalues here. And obviously that you'll see, because I've used this sort of, this is the result that you're actually getting. So maybe you may argue that this result is not really useful because you can't really do anything with it. But you'll just notice that because it's like a random matrix, definitely the calculations will be a lot more complex. And because Maple does not simplify the solution unless you ask it to, all of these radicals will remain intact. So there's no approximations being made here. So, but what you can do is I can suppress the output. And then you can enter something as this, or even if you don't suppress the output, then you can simply approximate this. And these, if you wanted for 5 digits, these are the eigenvalues that you have, the 4 eigenvalues. Similar sort of thing can be done for eigenvectors as well. Let's go back. Like if you don't want this on the screen, you can also suppress it out. Like you won't be able to see that, but it's already been computed by the system. Again, you can get eigenvectors for it. Obviously, because eigenvalues were so complex, eigenvectors will take a long time to compute. You can see this. definitely see what's available here. And that's a big system. Similarly, you can suppress outputs and get approximations for it if you want. But the advantage here would be like there are no approximations being made. So you're able to handle complex problems specifically, and you'll also be able to handle entries in matrices when there are when they are symbolic basically, or even if they are functions, then you'll be able to handle that as well. Let's go with the same function. Let's cover some other examples. So for norms, so you can get norms here, get the Euclidean norm, infinity norms. Just click on this, and you get the value of the norm here. Matrix inverse, I think we covered this. So let's go for another example. So what I'll do here is I'll enter a matrix. So again, I've entered square matrices here. We can also talk about being able to handle equations. So let's go for a 3 cross 4 matrix. I'll just keep this as any integer entries. So you have a matrix here. Let's define this as C. Now for this matrix, this can be seen as an augmented matrix. So for this matrix, I can basically get, like you can use the solver option here to get the row reduced echelon form. If you want the permutation matrix, you can have that. And like if you want like individual values, you can also accomplish that. And if you wanted to have the row reduced echelon form, you have it here. So you got the solution here extremely easily. What also you could have done, you can want tutors for linear algebra, and for the similar sort of thing, Gauss elimination, you have Gaussian elimination, you have tutors for that as well. So tutors, like I told you earlier, are just examples. So you have you can edit the matrix here, just edit matrices, gives you the variable view of the equations here as well. This is an augmented matrix. Sorry. And you will be able to basically pan through individual steps on your own. So let's say I want to multiply this by 1 by 24. Click on multiply. So that's the first step that you perform. Okay, then add minus 12 times row 1 to row 2. Or add 2 times row 1 to row 3. So this is basically you or a student moving through the problem step by step. Or even if you want to get the next step, you can get the next step here. You see what sort of operations are being applied. Or you can basically swap, or you use the panel here to do it manually as well. So again, a little bit of insight into what's happening. You can use tutors, or like if you are not really worried about or don't care about how you're getting to the problem, you're working more towards basically being able to handle solutions, then definitely that is available. You directly are able to handle that. You have a lot of like SVDs available, row reduced echelon form we've already talked about, QR decomposition, linear solve. You can specify a free variable in the system if you want to, LUD decomposition. Gaussian elimination we've covered, the Resky matrix that you've got, but that will only be available if you're dealing with the right matrix, the Hermitian matrix and positive definite. This is another example. Let's say I have a system of equations, and like you just write the system of equations, and I use the generate matrix command. It will automatically generate a matrix for me. So again, that is also extremely useful. You can also go it from the panel here, generate matrix. Either you want a matrix vector pair or you want the augmented matrix. So you can the augmented matrix, enter the list of variables here, like I've done in this panel here. W, X, Y, Z. So it is able to identify what parameters your equations are in terms of, and you get the same sort of example. So again, it becomes very, very useful to be able to do all that, because then you don't really need to enter matrices yourself. You can just work with equations. The system is able to generate matrices for you, and then basically work through solutions. So I'll just be covering sort of visualizations in the end. Again, student linear algebra package that I've covered. This is where the tutors and other examples will come from. Cross product plot, I did show it to you earlier as well. You can also able to have like vector sum plot, so you get visualization for that. Uh, this is just a linear system plot, a system of like linear equations that you have actually obtained from the system here, the augmented matrix here. You can get the plot of an eigenvector here. Basically, it's your if it's collinear, then what sort of matrix image be? It will basically be identifying, giving you an explanation of what is the eigenvalue, and it will tell you different images of like values that do not give you different graphs of values that do not satisfy this equation, and also uh, the four vectors here that do satisfy because M2 is a matrix. Now, I guess we have covered this. We may not have covered this earlier, but what you can actually do is also get sort of insight into how Maple is trying to solve your problem. So there's this info level command inside Maple, and you're actually able to do that for almost any function. So you can go for info level. By default, it's 0. I've set it to 1. So what you're like, able to do now is I can apply the linear transform plot. Plot is basically you get the plot for it. I apply the linear transform for this particular variable and vectors, and you have the number of iterations, the number of times you want to apply it. So it tells you the determinant, tells you the norm, tells you the eigenvalue, the multiplicity of it, the other eigenvalue, its multiplicity and its eigenvector, and also gives you the annotated plot for it. So it gives you the linear transformation when it's applied 20 times, and this is what it will actually look like. If I would have gotten similar sort of thing in a animation, again, similar sort of example, just output is equal to animation, the function is the same. You should be able to visualize it as well. This is what happens. And this is just the whole 20 curves being displayed to you at once. So you're able to see what sort of linear transformations as well. You can visualize them extremely easily. Under the matrix here, I can get linear transform plot for this as well. This is basically just a unit sphere. Different examples for different ways are definitely available. So primarily, what we've covered today is not just being able to solve problems, but being able to get a little bit of insight into what's happening. Not just having a tool that gives you solutions. You can basically maneuver through individual solutions as well using tutors, which may be of definitely is of use to students, but may be of use to instructors as well if you're trying to basically figure out where the breakdown is for a particular problem. That may also be of use to you. So I guess it is it from my end. I guess if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer it. Let's see if we have any questions till now.
Yes, Ujjwal, we have one question. It's from
Yeah.
Professor Satish Wankede, and he wants
Yeah.
to know, can we transform matrices to form stepwise? Canonical form stepwise.
Okay. This is teaching. Yes, sir, we can do that. What I'll do is I'll send you a document for it. I'll send you a couple of different examples. I'll send you a document for it so you'll be able to see it. But this is something that can definitely be done. Yeah. Do we have anything
Okay,
else?
so we have another question. We have another question from Professor VB Srinivas, and he wants to understand: is it possible to solve for FEM or Runge-Kutta methods?
Yeah. FEM is basically finite element. So I'm assuming you are working with FEM, you'll be working with some sort of PDEs or differential equations. Just write any sort of expression here. Any sort of expression that you write, when you're actually using this solve command here, and you go for numerically solve from a point, this is using the Runge-Kutta method itself. But if you work talking about dealing with differential equations or partial differential, or assuming you're dealing with differential equations, I think that would have been covered basically any sort of differential equation can be solved using, I'll just open up a tutorial just to show you examples for it. Basically, you can use fixed point methods like RK2, RK3, RK4, or even Euler's method, Adam-Bashford-Dunes method, or even move on to variable step methods, which basically use for step problems like Rosenkranz method, RKF45, which is the standard, which is by default the strongest method that is being used, and DWork method. I'll just show you the example for it, but definitely it's possible. There's no hard way around it. Let's go with. See some examples here. So you see these sort of examples will be available. So you basically enter an equation, open up the ODE Analyzer Assistant again from the panel here, and you can simply just choose whatever method that you want to enter the value and get the solution here. You can also get plots for values, not just for the solution, but you can get it for like y dash, y double dash, y triple dash. So whatever method that you can use, again, not just in plots, but similarly you can use it for any sort of method that you want to. Dsolve is the command being used to do so. So dsolve, and you're using numerical method, then you will be able to work through different numerical methods as well. You have similar sort of method you can use it using commands as well. That's what's been done here. If you don't mention, then RKF45 is the command being used to do so. If you mention a method, then it will use it using that particular method. Like if you specify whether the solution is stiff, then it will automatically use a stiff method for it. So that sort of thing is possible. Anything else we have? Yeah, Deepak, do we have anything else?
Yes, we have one last question. I mean, we'll take this
Yeah.
last question. This is from Professor Vivek Tiwari, and he wants to understand how to install this software.
Okay. So this is a paid software, and if you want to test it out, you can reach out to Deepak. We will be open to giving you an evaluation copy that you can test it out yourself, and we'll be sending you the link to download it and license keys for it, so you can test it out for a month for yourself. So if you if you want to test it out, and anybody at stage, you can reach out to us, and we'll send you an evaluation copy for it, which will have links to download it, the license key, and steps for installation as well.
Okay, so I guess hello.
Yeah.
That's it from our end. So I'll request Harshala madam to conclude this session.
Thank you, sir. As today, we have learned about multivariate calculus and linear algebra, which includes Taylor approximations, integral in multivariate calculus, applications and advantage of multivariate calculus, directional derivative and gradient with 3D graph in multivariate calculus using tools in Maple is very helpful for us. We appreciate the valuable session conducted by Mr. Kandhari sir. The presentation and the way you have explained with example was very helpful for us. Thank you very much, sir. We would like to extend our gratitude to Dr. Kumtekar sir, Principal of Government College of Engineering, and Dr. Vijay Dagwal sir, Head of Department of Mathematics, for their support and valuable guidance. I would like to thank to our coordinator and committee members for organizing and conducting informative session. Tomorrow, Mr. Kandhari sir would be delivering live demonstration for MapleSim 2020 by 11 a.m. Hence, we would like to conclude today's session. Have a nice day ahead and happy learning. Thank you very much.